recipe for you from the Harris family cookbook. In a recent video, I discussed the differences between afternoon tea and high tea. From this video, you may remember that afternoon tea started in the 1840s, was typically served between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., and was meant to be a mid-afternoon snack, something to keep you full between lunch and dinner. Arguably the most iconic dish served at afternoon tea is the small sandwich. Today I've got two small sandwich recipes for you. The first we'll do is a cucumber sandwich, arguably the top tier, most iconic, and then we will try a probably lesser known banana sandwich. We'll start today with the cucumber sandwich. Before I begin assembling the dish itself, I'll give you a little bit of background on the sandwich's star ingredient. If you've ever read Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, you may remember a line where the cucumber sandwich is described as a reckless extravagance. Despite the humor of this line, there is some genuine intent and rationale behind it. In the Victorian era, cucumbers were really reserved for the wealthy, and this was for a number of reasons. For starters, cucumbers are seasonal, so unless you had the money to operate your own greenhouse, odds are you wouldn't see cucumbers for most of the year. Secondly, cucumbers are made mostly of water, so even though they are high in vitamins and minerals, they don't contain very much substance like protein or grains. So if you're a member of the working classes, you're working long, hard hours, when you come home, you need something substantive, something that is gonna fill you up and keep you going through the next long shift. So for people like that, cucumber sandwiches are just not gonna cut it. You need much more. On a similar note, cucumber sandwiches and other little sandwiches served at afternoon tea traditionally would have the crust cut off. So if you're in a position where you care more about the aesthetics of food and are not at all concerned with the food being wasted, odds are you're a member of the wealthy upper classes. Okay, so for your ingredients today, you will need about half of a medium-sized English cucumber, 2 tablespoons of cream cheese, some dill. If you're using dried dill like we are, go for 1/4 teaspoon. If you prefer fresh dill, choose a 1/2 teaspoon instead. Some white bread with the crust cut off, of course. And then just some toppings for last minute like salt, pepper, and you'll need some vinegar as well. I'll go into why in the next step. So moving on to the method, we've already done the first few steps just to save on time, but I'll let you know what you need to do if you're following along at home. So for our cucumber, you want to cut them into thin slices like this. Traditionally, the thinner the better. Then you'll take those cucumber slices, put them in a bowl, and add some salt and vinegar. You'll want to let them sit like that for 30 to 40 minutes. Now, as is common with Victorian cookbooks, if you've seen our videos before, you've heard this many times, they're not always super specific on certain amounts or how much of an ingredient to use. So in this case, we're only instructed to use some vinegar and some salt. So use your own discretion. We didn't fill the bowl right up to the top, just enough to kind of coat all of the cucumbers, and then we let them sit. All right, the next step in the method is pretty simple. We're just gonna add our dill to our cream cheese and give it a good mix. Once that is well incorporated, we're going to go ahead and spread our mixture onto each of our slices of bread. And again, if you're doing this at home, feel free to add more cream cheese or less and kind of just, cater it to who you're serving and your own desires. I'm putting just a thin layer on like this and moving it over to the corners of the slice of bread. All right, so next we're going to take our vinegary cucumber slices and arrange them very neatly on each of these slices of bread. once we've done that, they should look a little something like this. Next, you can use just a little bit of salt if you like, kind of to taste. Again, use at your own discretion. And traditionally, cucumber sandwiches and other little sandwiches would have been cut into triangles, and you can go ahead and cut them into whatever shape your heart desires. But the Harris Family Cookbook instructs cutting them into little squares, so I'm going to go ahead and do that instead. And in doing so, we end up with a cute little guy like this. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble a few more sandwiches, and I'll check back in with you in a little bit to see what our finished product is. Alright, so we've just about finished with our cucumber sandwiches. They're all plated and looking nice here. Before we do the final reveal, let's move on to the second little sandwich of today's video, and that is the banana sandwich, which I had never heard of before, but sounds pretty good to me. So again, just to give a little spotlight on our star ingredient here, as a cultivated fruit, bananas have been around for upwards of 5,000 years. They started in Southeast Asia and slowly began to spread throughout the globe via trade and travel. In the early 1800s in England, pretty well no one had ever seen a banana in real life, let alone eaten one. By the 1880s, however, bananas were regularly being brought into England from the Canary Islands, though they would remain kind of an interesting and slightly mysterious fruit for many years to come. So before I introduce our ingredients today, I will let you know that this recipe does not come from the Harris Family Cookbook. Instead, it comes from the London Ritz Book of Afternoon Tea by Helen Simpson, which you can go look up if you would like to see what else is inside that fascinating book. So for today, you will need a banana. We've gone ahead and pre-mashed it just to make things a little easier, 2 tablespoons of cream, and 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. So we're going to start by just mixing all of those together, and then we'll spread it out onto the bread. Very simple, quick, and easy recipe. So we'll get started with that. Just dump the cream in first into our banana mixture. Then I will add the brown sugar. It should be a sort of kind of liquidy but pudding-like texture. Cool. Once that is incorporated, I'll just start spooning it out onto the bread and making our sandwiches. I'll admit it's not the most visually appealing, but I think it will taste good. So again, you can cut it into whatever shape that you like, but just so that everything looks nice and neat and pretty, I will cut these into squares as well. So when you're done, that's what it should look like. You just got a smooth paste on the inside. All right, so I'm gonna go make a couple more of these, and I'll check back in with you in a minute. Alright, so I'm back with both of our completed sandwiches. We've got them here, cucumber, banana, looking nice and pretty and ready for an afternoon tea. I'm going to give them both a little bit of a try. We'll see how this goes. Start with the cucumber. That one is very good. I was a little skeptical about the vinegar, but it actually really adds to the flavor. That one is like 10 out of 10, really good. A little skeptical about the banana, but we'll see. It's banana. It pretty much just tastes like banana. Not gonna lie, the cream and the brown sugar don't really come through in the flavor palette at all. If you want to try adding a little more of either of those ingredients to heighten the flavor of, say, the sugar, you're more than welcome to, but as is, it's pretty much banana. Alright, so thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more historical fun with the Harris family. Until next time, bye!